So good morning, it's Wednesday, March 28th, 2018, and you're here with me, live Java with Jerry on every Wednesday morning, and we're delighted you're here. As always, we come to you from the penthouse suite of Stadium Center in the Platinum Triangle. For those of you that are not anywhere near Orange County, that's across the street from Anaheim Stadium. It's a great location, and we're happy you've come to join us. Lots to talk about today, so I'm going to race through the news, and then we're going to get to our guest, one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. You'll admire her as much as I do after you hear her. It's Jena Jensen, who is the Chief Government Relations Officer for Children's Hospital of Orange County. And we're going to talk about lots of stuff about children's health, what the hospital is doing, how important it is to you and to your community, and so you'll learn a bunch. So take notes, get some paper out. All right, we're going to quickly go through the news, and I mean quickly because I don't have enough time if I started right now interviewing Jena. Maybe she'll come back, though. We'll talk to her about that. All right, federal news. We'll start with the national stuff first. We have a $1.3 trillion spending bill now, so we don't have to worry about a government shutdown, I think, at least through fall. That's good news. Lots of spending in there. Some I understand, some I don't, including a tunnel between New York and New Jersey. Not sure why we need that. It includes some vital military spending. I know why we need that. And thankfully, some money for addressing the opioid addiction, which we critically are desperately in need of. And, of course, we're racking up debt, piles and piles of debt. You'll be leaving it to your grandchildren, and they and their grandchildren will probably be paying it off. It'd be nice if once the feds could learn to do what all organizations, families, businesses do, and tighten their belt every once in a while, cut some spending out somewhere. Yeah, I know, fat chance. All right, let's talk about state news. The state news really is more about what's going on in our county than anything else. At yesterday's Board of Supervisor meeting, which was at Donnybrook in Orange County, if you didn't hear about it, I don't know what rock you were under. One of the things they did was decide that they were going to join the federal suit against the state of California on their Prop 54 California Values Act, which was their sanctuary city program. And so they've decided to jump in, largely, I think, forced into this by what Los Alamitos has done and Yorba Linda have done. Los Alamitos has decided it's opting out of Prop 54. It's not going to support the sanctuary city policies of the state. Yorba Linda has decided to file an amicus brief in the federal suit, and now the county is jumping in. And more cities, I think Mission Viejo had it on their agenda this week. More and more cities are going to be doing this. I'm not sure where this is going to go in the long term. It's never a good thing, though, for levels of government to get sideways with one another over who's got what right where, and it's not a good thing for our body politic. So stay tuned to it. You'll see more of it. The other thing that happened in local news happened at the Board of Supervisors as well. They decided to nix a plan they had to build tents near the Great Park to accommodate the homeless who are coming out of motels after Judge Carter's order. They don't know what they're going to do with them yet. I'm not certain that they have a full plan. And there's a lot of finger pointing at the county and a lot of accusations about what they did or didn't do with the homeless. This is a really thorny problem. Whenever you mix mental health, alcoholism, drug addiction, and just general vagrancy with a criminal population that's been early released out of prison, that's a bad cocktail. It's not fair thing, I think, to point to somebody and say, go cure it. They all of a sudden want to solve homelessness. I'm not sure it's soluble in that way. Whenever we try for simplistic answers to complex problems, that's probably going to be a disaster, but that was also on the agenda yesterday. So tons of stuff going on at the county level. Quickly on sports, and then I'm going to bring Jena in. It's still March. There's still madness. Everybody's rooting for Sister Jean's Loyola out of Chicago. They're my underdog. I'm going to go with them now because my back bracket got busted a long time ago. UCLA couldn't even play in. The tournament was over for me before it began. But anyway, the Final Four are this weekend. National championship on Monday. By the time we meet again next Wednesday, we'll know who the national champ is. And then we'll go into the vast wasteland of sports where nothing good happens until preseason football. But that I will debate with some baseball fan, I'm sure, either in social media or when I have them next on the show. All right, now it's time for me to bring my pal Jena Jensen in. So while she's coming on camera and getting settled in, I'm going to read you a little bit about her from her bio. I have to read very little about it because there's so much in it. Hi, my friend. How are you? Good to see you. Too much to tell you about her, so I've sort of skimmed through. I've told you that she's the Chief Government Relations Officer, and we'll talk a little bit about her work on legislative advocacy and what she does for the pediatric healthcare system in Orange County. She obviously leads CHOC, which was U.S. News and World Report recently named one of the nation's top hospitals in 2017-2018 in their Best Children's Hospital ranking. They ranked in 7 specialties. Catch these: cancer, diabetes, endocrinology, immunology, it's a good thing I don't practice medicine, neonatology, neurology, neurosurgery, orthopedics, pulmonology, and urology, and that earned them a top 20 spot in the list. Out of 183 pediatric medical centers, your hospital got ranked in the top 20. So she oversees legislative affairs for CHOC, as well as the development and stewardship of relationships with the federal and state government, and she's excellent at that, and local government. She knows us all. She does community relations for opinion leaders. She's dedicated to creating awareness, building relationships, and generating support for the hospital, obviously, and advancing their mission, and we'll talk a little bit about that, which is to nurture and protect the health and well-being of our children. She has been Director of Marketing and Public Relations before this. Prior to joining, she served in Public Relations and Public Affairs Consulting to a number of organizations, and along with the rest of her 27-year career in healthcare, there's no way you could have been in healthcare for 27 years. She began at Western Medical Center. She's a native California, an alumnus of the University of California, Berkeley, so North Campus for those of us who are Bruins. And she serves on the board of directors of way too many organizations, but a few among them: Orange County Business Council, Orange County Forum, the Santa Ana Chamber. She's a part of the Provider Advisory Committee. I think she chairs it for Cal Optima.
I used to chair it.
You used to chair it.
I was the chair, yes.
Cal Optima is our community health service, and we'll talk about that perhaps in the context of what they do. And importantly, serves as a member of the county's Mental Health Services Act. And we're going to talk a little bit about children's mental health because it's an important thing for all of us. She serves on many, many boards in the Hospital Association of Southern California, Children's Hospital Association, and the National Children's Hospital Association. She lives in North Tustin with her husband, who's a great guy. She has 3 wonderful adult children, and including a lieutenant in the Army.
Second lieutenant, yes.
Yeah, Max is now studying medicine.
Max Jensen, yes.
Yeah, so Max, you got to watch Mom because you're going to learn more about
Max is too busy.
Medical advocacy to watch.
He's too busy to watch me.
Yeah.
Medical student.
Yeah, no,
they don't give him any
it's
time.
great. He must have been infected by the fact that he was around medicine throughout your entire life.
I think it's absolutely true that he was.
Yeah,
I used to go get him. He went to preschool across the street from CHOC. Yeah. They had a preschool at the base in the lower level Providence, that building right across the street. And I used to go get him at lunch and bring him over to CHOC and take him to the cafeteria and get him a grilled cheese.
Yeah, so he would see all the docs in their white coats and said, I want to do this, right?
Yep.
So she has a daughter that's going to go into public affairs, I just learned, and a son that's doing medicine. Yes. Everybody's infected by what you do. None of them going to be lawyers like Dad?
Kathleen wants to go to law school after working in public affairs. Yeah, she thinks.
The apple and the tree. All right, so let's dive in because, as I told you when we were off camera, I've got 73 questions for Jena. We'll never get it in.
Yeah.
Start maybe, Jena, with a background on CHOC. It's been around since the 60s, but tell everybody about the hospital itself and its history over the last half century.
So CHOC was born the same year I was born, 1964. So I can remember it. So I'm good at numbers because they all connect.
They all connect.
Yeah.
Right.
So 1964, and Walter Knott and Walt Disney were actually part of the group that decided that Orange County needed a children's hospital because we didn't have one.
Real roots in the county.
Exactly. So 1964, they were able to work with the Sisters of St. Joseph, and our original spot was on the campus of St. Joseph Hospital.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
And there's still sort of an interrelationship between the hospitals,
absolutely, we're connected by tunnel to St. Joseph.
Yeah.
They bring their babies through the tunnel to our neonatal intensive care unit, and we have a neonatal intensive care unit. We have the CHOC NICU at St. Joseph, which is an all-private room NICU that is adjacent to the maternity ward at, or the OB unit at St. Joseph Hospital. Yeah,
that's terrific.
So very connected to them, and we always talk about what a wonderful partnership that's been with that system. So, but in the 70s, we were able to, scrape together the money to buy a 5-story building across the street from St. Joe's, which is the site of the tower now.
Yeah.
And in 1990,
so it started in '64 with just like scores of beds, right?
63 beds.
And now it's
63 beds. Now 316.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was 64, the 62 bed unit at St. Joe's. Then we bought the 5-story hospital. And expanded, and then in 1991, which is the year Max was born, which is the reason I can remember that, we opened up the what we call now the North Tower, which is the tower that sits behind the Bill Holmes Tower, which we opened in 2013. So we have a 6-story tower that was opened in 1991, and I remember because I brought Max in the stroller to the opening, and now he's 26 years old. So then in 2013, we opened up the Bill Holmes Tower, which is that that beautiful 7-story building there that you see when you drive down Levita that's all lit up.
Which when we say beautiful, I got a tour before they actually opened it. I think in the week before they opened it, Jena gave me a little tour, and it's fabulous, and it's thematic. Talk about the floors and the walls and what you've done with the kids.
So every floor has a different theme, and all the themes are kind of based on the environment. So we start in the basement with fossils, and then we go to the first floor, which is the ocean floor, then the second floor is the beach. So you see you're kind of working from the core out. And then we have 2 floors of shelled space, the 6th and 7th floors, and those will be sort of outer space.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the universe. So I can't wait to see what those are going to be. We're right now doing a master campus plan to decide what we're going to do with that space. And of course we have, a wealth of amazing ideas for what the needs are, and we just have to go through it.
But it's amazing atmosphere for kids because they're sick. Some of them really critically sick, and the atmosphere around them is bright and it's happy and it's outward looking. It's not so focused on themselves.
You know, and that's partly the environment of the hospital because it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is, and it never ceases to kind of hit me when I walk in there, how beautiful it is, and the things that we have like Turtle Talk, which our friends at Disneyland Resorts helped us to put in that second floor where kids can talk to Crush the Turtle in real time twice a day, which is phenomenal. We have our radio station there.
Yeah, they've got, and talk a little bit about that. That's a gift actually to the hospital.
It was originally a program that Ryan Seacrest and Seacrest Foundation helped us establish, and now it's, we sustain it ourselves, but he helps, I think once a year there's a fundraiser that he helps with on the air. So he's still engaged in fundraising for that, but we've had all kinds of celebrities come through there. We have now audio and video in that station, so we can do video programming, and they do games that they broadcast up into all the patient rooms. Kids can call in with requests for songs, and it's just really, really fun for them. So when you walk in to the hospital, you hear kids laughing, which to me is just, it's amazing to walk into a children's hospital and see people happy, people having a good time, even though there are some really serious things going on in the hospital, of course.
I don't want to neglect talking about this because I think people need to know it. There's programs that you have for children's health that are available to families that don't have any means to do it.
Of course.
And you still provide them health care in this state-of-the-art facility we're talking about. So it's not just for people with insurance and the ability to pay for medical services.
Absolutely not. In fact, about 62% of the care we provide in the hospital is to children who are Medi-Cal beneficiaries.
Wow.
So well more than half of the kids that we take care of in our hospital, their parents are beneficiaries of or their children are beneficiaries of the Medi-Cal program, which, as you mentioned, that's what Cal Optima is.
That's the connection with Cal Optima.
Cal Optima runs Medi-Cal for Orange County, and that's why I'm so involved there. And they're a great organization.
Yeah, and Cal Optima, for those of you who don't know them, is a county-operated health system. Not every county has it.
Yes.
And it's a unique way to provide services. So it's sort of a public-private partnership. They really act as an insurance carrier and provide for the Medi-Cal patients. And about a third of our kids in the county are on Medi-Cal, I think. So it's a huge population.
Actually, I think it's half.
It's half of our kids?
Yes, it's a third of the total population.
That's what it is, a third of the total population.
But across the country, about half of our children in America get their care through the Medicaid program, which is the federal
version of Medicaid.
Medi-Cal is the state's version of Medicaid.
Let me ask you, because I mentioned in the news briefly that I did that we got a 1.3 trillion budget, and we got a spending bill that gets us through the fall. Is there money in there for children's health? Did CHIP get renewed? Where are we?
CHIP did get reauthorized for 6 years, which was great news.
Good.
So that did happen, thank goodness. And also, there was a slight increase in that spending bill for the Children's Hospital's Graduate Medical Education Program, which is federal funding for our residency program,
which we're going to get to.
And as we talked about,
So let's talk a little bit about that. There are, beyond beyond being a treatment hospital, there are certain things that people probably don't know about CHOC, and that includes research and education and innovation. Let's talk a little bit about research. You got a ton of programs that you're researching, and
So-
I don't know how many specialties.
30 different specialties we have research going on at CHOC, and
Unbelievable.
more
30.
than 300 different research studies going on right now at CHOC. So in 30 different areas of children's health care. So, we know that we need to continue to search for new cures and new ways to treat illness to be able to improve the care that we provide for kids. So we're
But you
definitely part of that.
do more than just caring for the kids, because you're also trying to look at what's going to prevent the problem in the future.
Yep.
So it's a unique thing. And then residents, how many residents are running around the hospital?
So we have
Max,
almost
are you
90
listening? Because your mom probably wants you to come out and do a
No,
residency.
I don't know if Max is going to go into pediatrics, although he did work at CHOC for a bit in the emergency department and he loved it. But we have almost 90 residents at
Yikes.
CHOC. Yes, and they are phenomenal. That residency program is in partnership with UC Irvine.
Yeah.
And so what that does for us, that academic partnership really gives those residents the best of both worlds, because they have that very strong academic program at UC Irvine.
Yeah, good medical
and
school.
then they get to come in and do their work at this beautiful children's hospital.
It's amazing.
So-
If you're a resident at CHOC, you probably never want to leave. How do I become an attending here?
Right.
So I can just stay, right?
Well,
I mean,
you
one of
know,
the best hospitals in the country.
They do like to try and stay, a lot of them, but but many of them will go on to fellowships and subspecialize beyond. So it's a 3-year residency
Wow,
for
it's a long-
pediatrics.
that's a long
When you're at
residency.
the end of that pediatric residency, you can become a general pediatrician, you can become a hospitalist, but then if you want to become like a pediatric endocrinologist or a pediatric surgeon or those things, there's more work to be done. So
Good gravy.
many of them will leave and go on and do that.
So, and let's talk about innovation. You got tons of innovation programs that you're involved in.
We have a whole innovation institute at CHOC, which is really dedicated to sort of pushing the frontiers of pediatric healthcare. We're looking at artificial intelligence and how that can help physicians and clinicians make better and quicker decisions.
I have trouble with natural intelligence, and now we're looking at artificial intelligence.
I'm not going to say a word about that, Jerry. No, so artificial intelligence is definitely an area. Robotics, using using smartphones to connect our patients and their families to their
Unbelievable.
clinicians and to the hospital, and to kind of blur the lines between home and hospital and home and doctor's office, so that people could take better care of
You're
themselves. at
constantly
home.
pushing that
Yep.
outer edge. When I toured the hospital, the physical facility itself, besides being beautiful, is also like state of the art. The rooms are to the nines. You can't
Yes.
believe the technology that are embedded in the walls.
And the safety.
hospital
Yes.
operating suites are just phenomenal.
Yeah, a lot of that is really designed to improve the safety of care. So, there's a lot that goes into the innovation. Is it, we're trying to improve quality of care, safety of care, the patient experience, and then advancing the practice of medicine. So we're always looking at all those areas to see how we can improve. And I have to say, I really credit our CEO, Kim Kripe. She is a tireless advocate for innovation and quality.
Yeah.
Really, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's always so excited for anything new. So she's been amazing.
There's a reason why it's a highly ranked hospital, and it has a lot to do with the leadership and, of course, the physicians, the kinds of people they attract on their staff, and people like this woman who, it's led by women. What can I tell you? That's why it's innovative and doing
We have
well.
some men. We do.
Yeah, well, you scatter them in there. You
Yeah,
let
we
us,
do.
You let us show up every once in a while.
Exactly.
Let's talk about something that's not such a fun thing to talk about, but incredibly important, and it's topical because of what happened this week. Let's talk about children's mental health. Huge problem nationwide with keeping kids healthy, and kids shouldn't have mental issues, but they do. So let's talk about what the hospital is doing about that.
So, 1 in 5 children will experience a diagnosable mental health disorder before adulthood. And many of the adults and it's the same figure in adults, it's 1 in 5, but many adults who have mental health conditions did experience symptoms in childhood.
Yeah.
And, the issue is that they don't get the services they need for so many reasons. But what we are doing is we just celebrated the grand opening of our inpatient mental health center.
Yesterday.
Which we're just could not be more excited about. It's absolutely beautiful.
Tell everybody where it is.
So it is on our campus It is on the 3rd floor of our research building, which is, if you know where our tower is, it's just on the other side of the parking structure in the building that faces Main Street there.
Got it.
And we were really fortunate to be able to utilize that space because adjacent to the space, we were able to use the roof of the building next door, which is our clinic building, for an outdoor play area.
Oh, how cool.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is many times larger than required by regulation because there are regulations that say you need to have outdoor space for individuals who are in an inpatient mental health center. But ours is way bigger and it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's so much fun to see. And of course we have fences that are designed to really make sure it's safe so that you can't climb on them, etc. But
how many kids? What's the age?
It's an 18-bed unit, all private rooms, which is really special.
That's really nice.
Yes, very special.
And accommodations for families too, right? So if you've got a kid treating.
So that's a really unique thing is that parents can stay overnight and parents can visit all the time.
Yeah.
So it's for children ages 3 to 17. And, I've been giving a lot of thought to this recently about the impact that ability for parents to stay overnight has.
Huge.
And I think it really reduces, and I'm sure there's research somewhere that, already figured this out before I did. But when you think about the barriers to parents seeking mental health services for their children, if you thought, okay, my 7-year-old is displaying symptoms that are indicating to me that we really need some help here.
Yeah.
But if my child is admitted to an inpatient psychiatric facility, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to be separated from them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get to see where they are and what's happening. For a parent like me, I think about that, would have been unthinkable for me and impossible and probably a huge barrier to seeking services for a really serious problem.
And maybe that's why, Jena, for so many years, the adults who have mental health issues that began in childhood never did get treated. Their parents were frightened that their children would be taken from them and they would never have control over them.
All kinds of reasons that, that people maybe don't seek treatment, but I have to think that this fear of being separated and having a child in a wing of the hospital where you can't see what's going on has got to be just terrifying. So now parents can stay, they can be part of the treatment. We can help educating them a little bit about their child's condition and things they can do at home.
And they can be in the outside space with them so they feel like they're still at home and they get some time with their parents and they can see the outdoors.
Now that being said, there's much of the day that children spend in groups and in therapy and things without the parents, but the parents are always there when they come back to their rooms. So
that's an important thing, I think, for them. And you're the only one that has those facilities in California.
The only mental health unit that will allow parents to stay in California.
Once again, Orange County, that's why you're ranked. You've got to be kidding me. My producer's showing me the time.
We can talk all day, though.
All right. So that's for kids 3 to 17.
Yes.
Now let's talk about what happens when they leave that program. How do they get continuing care? You don't just let them loose. You have a whole other program for outpatient care.
Right. So a couple things. We did just launch the Aspire program, and now you're going to ask me what the acronym means.
Jena, why don't you tell me what Aspire is?
I'm going to try. So it's after school program intervention
and resiliency.
Education.
There you go. We were doing this off air. I swear there's a subspecialty of people that study, probably in public affairs or communication school, and they learn how to do these things for like federal bills and state bills and for programs.
So I have to say
somebody came up with Aspire. Congratulations, you're stumping
whoever it
us.
was. It wasn't us. So this is a trademarked program that CHOC is bringing to we have brought it to our hospital. It's evidence-based program that has been shown to produce great results for teenagers who are experiencing sort of moderate to severe symptoms of depression and anxiety. So they're just having a hard time doing what they need to do. So this program is a place for kids to come to after they leave our inpatient unit, and they need that warm handoff to an outpatient program, because we would never just send a kid home from an inpatient stay and say good luck. We know they need support when they leave there to kind of transition back. So
and you were telling me it's intense support for a while.
Very intense. So it's 3 hours a day, 4 days a week for 8 weeks.
Wow.
But we've already had parents telling us, and because we started the program 2 weeks ago, so only 2 weeks into the program, we have parents saying they can't believe the results that they're seeing in their children already.
How long is the program itself, the Aspire program total?
It's 8 weeks total.
So they're a quarter of the way through the program.
And they're already
giving-
seeing, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just,
Awesome.
it's extremely exciting. So, you know, I think we think mental health is not a happy thing to talk about, but I am very excited about what I'm seeing in terms of the advancements in how we're talking about and how we're treating mental health issues in kids.
Yeah.
So,
I say it's not a happy subject because it annoys me to think that children have to deal with mental health issues. Childhood is supposed to be a time of happiness. It's tough enough to have to deal with the things that you see in your hospital every day, kids with cancer and leukemia and all kinds of diseases they shouldn't have to be inflicted with. But to have them also be unhappy is not a good thing. And but you do amazing work.
They're human. So, you know, all human beings experience these kinds of struggles.
Exactly
it seems
right.
only natural children would too.
Yeah.
And kids that have cancer and cystic fibrosis and epilepsy and those serious health issues are 3 to 4 times more likely to have a mental health issue.
Wow.
So we have a program for them as well. We have a co-occurring clinic for kids who have chronic and serious mental health issues and also have a mental health diagnosis. That program sits across the street from CHOC at one of our buildings across the street, and it's been fantastic.
Interesting.
Yep.
So I know we're short on time, and there's some things I want to cover because I want to give a call to action to our listeners as well, and those who are watching today. And some of you are getting it by podcast, and if you did, please tune it in and watch the show. There is a bond pending. I know you guys are engaged in with all the Children's Hospital in California. So if you want your Children's Hospital to continue to expand and grow, listen up. Tell us about the bond and what you're doing.
So the bond, we are out gathering signatures to qualify for the 2018 ballot, November 2018. So it's like, wow, okay,
now
it's coming up. So if people see signature gatherers and they're approached and asked to sign.
If you're at Albertsons, sign it.
Yeah. So what it does is it provides funding for California's children's hospitals to build and equip facilities. So this is infrastructure funding.
So this helps with the 2 floors that we need to turn into the celestial heavens?
Exactly.
Okay.
It would help with that. It would help with a further expansion of mental health services for CHOC.
Which would be great. We can go more than 18 beds.
And we need more. We know we need more services. Those 18 beds are going to fill up quickly. It would help with outpatient facilities. So it would help in a lot of ways. And we've got, you know, I say our innovation and our ability to grow is limited only by budget, right? So those funds would allow us to do even more.
An important place to invest. So if you get a chance to support that, please do sign it. When you see it on your ballot, please vote for it. The fact that we have the highly ranked hospital that we do and that is doing the things that it is and is training the next generation of pediatric geniuses is a product of the fact that we've invested in it over the last half century. So keep investing. It's a good place to put your money.
Exactly.
Okay, I can't let you escape though without telling everyone how can they invest in CHOC. So there's things that the average citizen, Joe and Mary, can do to help. So how do we help?
So I would say, we have a very active foundation. If people want to get involved in the foundation, help us that way. We'd be delighted. Obviously, we have a wonderful volunteer program, a very, very popular volunteer program. Adults and teenagers alike come and help in the hospital in a myriad ways. So we have people who cuddle babies in the neonatal intensive care unit.
Are you kidding? That's a volunteer thing to do?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have those are the volunteers who are the most highly ranked volunteers, are very coveted spots. We also have volunteers working with CHOC Studios. We have volunteers helping in our patient and family education center. All kinds of things that people can do in the hospital to help. Child Life is always a favorite place to volunteer for folks.
Where do they get info on this?
CHOC.org.
CHOC.org.
Go to our website and how you can help, and go down to volunteer and foundation and everything. And you can find all kinds of ways to get involved.
And go sign up and send all your money to Jena because she's doing great work. Don't escape. I have to do a little feature that we close the show with. We have different features. This show has 3 different features, but you happen to be here on the day when we're doing one of my favorites. Okay, boomers, it's time to learn how to speak millennial. All right, you've got to deal with these millennials. You need to understand how to speak it. So your word for the day is salty, and it really means for millennials being bitter or in a bad mood. So let me give it to you in a sentence. My time is up with Jena, and I'm feeling salty about it. There's salty for you. Add it to your lexicon. on, and now you'll know what millennials are saying. Thank you for being here.
That's very helpful.
We'll have well, you know.
Well, I have some in my family now. I can talk to them. At least I can use that word.
You can
That's
tell the girls,
fantastic.
quit being salty about where we're going to lunch. This
I'm
is
gonna,
something
you know what?
Mom
I'm going to
expects.
do that as soon as they text me about lunch.
See, and now the kids will be angry because I taught Mom how to speak millennial.
They're not watching.
They'll probably be unhappy. They're
still
not
asleep.
watching. Yeah. She's so tough on them. All very talented kids. She's so tough on them. All right, we have to leave. I'm sorry that we do. We'll have Jena back because there's a whole bunch I want to talk about,
Okay.
including the stresses on the healthcare system and what you do in your real day job, which is, arm wrestle with legislators to get them to wake up.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about all that she really does in that when we get to have her on next. You go off and have a great week. We will see you next week. Our guest will be Kate Klimo, another one of my pals, who now has a new title, so I have to look. She's the Chief Administrative Officer and Director of External Relations for UCI Applied Innovation. What is UCI Applied Innovation? You're not going to know unless you tune in next Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Java with Jerry. Until then, have a great week, make good decisions, and we'll see you next week on Java with Jerry.
Cheers.
Hey, hey.